Glenn, I want to take a step back, just a couple of steps, and ask you this because it's been on my mind. What about the women through their cycling years that when they take a type of birth control pill that actually has their cycles in complete cessation? I mean, they're just not having them anymore. Is that a healthy thing, do you think, or is that something that we want to watch out for?
No, it's typically a challenge because there's a consistent release of estrogen. You
Mm-hmm.
see, when I'm testing women for a hormone panel, I'm not just looking at things like cortisol and DHA. I'm also looking at all three estrogens. I'm looking at the ratio of the E1 and E2 compared to the E3. I'm looking at like literally 40 different hormones. And with consistency, I see women who are taking something that's giving them this regular estrogen that, as we refer to as the pill. And I regularly see women living into estrogen dominance. And that's, that's a risk factor for so many challenges in the body and a risk factor for breast cancer. And so I don't feel like that's really the optimal answer because you see, most women, they'll have some symptoms and they'll be recommended to go on the pill to create some normalization of their symptoms. And again, it's not about symptom care. It's about getting to the bottom what's going on. And that to me doesn't take care of getting to that underlying trigger of what the causative factor really is.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point. And also when the woman is having their perimenopause or menopause, it's sometimes they can't even figure it out that they're actually in menopause, right? I mean,
Right.
actually play into that.
Absolutely. Well, and sometimes, let's use hot flashes as an example, because I can't tell you how many times I can remember this one woman who shared with me. She says, nothing's more frustrating than, I have a long, and this is a woman who is a nurse. And she said, I have a long, hard day working with patients in the hospital. I'm exhausted. I get home. I finally get out of the bath and I get into my comfy clothes and I curl up on the couch with a good book to read. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my evening. And she's like, and then bam, they just hit her. Yeah. And she said, it just ruins my evening. Right. And that's, I've heard that a very similar story from so many women. Right. And now here's an interesting part with that though, is sometimes though, what might be considered a hot flash might not be a hot flash. Like one of the things I ask women all the time, when they mention that they're having hot flashes, I'll say, well, does it only happen at night around bedtime or during your sleep cycle? Or do you get these throughout the day? Yeah, because hot flashes, when they're tied into perimenopause and menopause, are generally going to be either because of low estrogen or more commonly fluctuating estrogens. Like it's not just low estrogen, it could be fluctuating. And if they're only at night, they're very often, it's not due to hormones. Very often when somebody has hot flashes at night, which men can get as well, they're not necessarily hot flashes. It's the body raising temperature because the body is initiating an immune response to help fight an infection that could be elsewhere in the body, typically in the gut. But when they're going on throughout the day, then it's generally more of a hormonal situation. So yeah, there's different factors tied into this. And sometimes it's hard to really even understand really what it is that a woman is dealing with.
That's very interesting, Glenn. And would you say that most of the time is it the pathogen itself or is it the adrenals response to it at night when people have hot flashes, let's say in bed?
Yeah, I would say that, of course, the pathogen itself is going to be an issue. Yet there's going to be the immune and adrenal response, because the immune response is going to be also tied into an inflammatory response. And then the adrenals will always have a reactionary response to that. So it really, and the other challenge with this is it really disrupts sleep. This is which is another, if you think about this, that's another one of the symptoms that we think of as menopause of disrupted sleep, which again, typically is either a different type of hormonal imbalance or a deeper gut issue tied into that. So yeah, and it's just really disconcerting for me that every woman doesn't understand this. This to me should be common knowledge for every woman. And our culture and mainstream information just doesn't provide this type of information to really help women understand what it is that they're working with in their body, and to recognize that, you know, the woman's body is designed perfectly. It's not designed to fall off the edge at 47 years old, right? It's designed, you know, and like as an example, when you brought up the orcas, the story with the orcas was a perfect representation of how traditional cultures really almost like worship women in those wisdom years, right? Because what the female orca would be doing at that time would be providing the instruction and the teachings and showing the community how to survive as an orca, right? They've got this wisdom, and that's how really every woman should be able to celebrate as they move through this transition.
Right, right, right. That's so well said.